The Galactic Concord had over 10,000 member species, each sworn to peace, regulation, and a code of diplomacy refined over millennia. Wars had been replaced by arbitration. Colonization was monitored. Technology was shared through councils, and aggression was a crime punished by exile, or worse, economic isolation. And then came the Deathworlders. Humans. From Earth, a planet that fit every textbook definition of inhospitable, yet birthed a species of survivors. High gravity, unstable climate, apex predators, and constant microbial warfare. The galaxy watched them with a wary fascination. Yes, they were resourceful. Yes, their biology was resilient. But the Council had rules. And humans were unpredictable. Commander V. Zen, of the Yelari Observational Corps, remembered when the Terran vessel TSEV Damascus first arrived in the neutral zone of Polarii Cluster 7. The sector had been off-limits due to an ancient ceasefire between two powerful species, the Kravoks and the Lithari. A demilitarized zone, enforced by over 400 drones and monitored by Concord satellites. No one entered. No one tested it. No one. Except the humans. They didn't sneak in. That would have at least shown guilt or shame. No. Damascus broadcasted open intent scientific research, gravitational mapping, and cultural salvage. When confronted, the ship's captain, a woman named Celia Tran, had replied with a smile, "Rules are good. But context is better." And context changes. V. Zen had nearly choked on his nutrient paste when he read the transcript. But the Council didn't act immediately. Humans were new. Their chaos was still considered charming. That changed when Damascus triggered the relic. A forgotten Kravoks device buried beneath the crust of a long-dead moon. A fail-safe weapon, thought inert for centuries. When the Terrans drilled, the device activated and sent a shockwave that wiped out 3 moons and destabilized orbital patterns of the Lithari sanctuary world nearby. The Concord called it an act of recklessness. The Kravoks called it an act of war. But it was what came next that made history. When the Lithari mobilized and the Kravoks launched retaliatory drones toward Earth, expecting the humans to fold under pressure, the opposite happened. Humanity didn't apologize. They didn't convene a council. They retaliated. Not with standard fleet movements or political blustering. No, they broke the rules. Earth's defense armada deployed black box ships, silent, stealth-based cruisers that didn't register on any known frequency. They sabotaged Kravoks fuel lines, blinded Lithari tracking satellites, and left messages burned into the hulls of enemy command ships. Earth does not negotiate under threat. Commander V. Zen watched from the safety of orbit as entire fleets turned to chaos. Human tactics were impossible to predict, dirty, asymmetrical, psychologically brutal. When the Lithari flagship received a virus that turned its AI into a loop of ancient Terran war poetry, followed by an explosion in its core reactor, the message was clear. The Council convened. Emergency session. Accusations flew. But Ambassador Sloan, the human representative, simply raised an eyebrow and said, "We followed your rules until your rules endangered our people. After that, we followed our instincts." The chamber had never been so silent. And that's when the galaxy realized something terrifying. Deathworlders didn't just survive their brutal homeworld. They thrived on chaos. The structures that held galactic society together, the careful diplomacy, the rituals of control, were suggestions to them. Useful until they weren't. But it wasn't annihilation the humans sought. Once the Kravoks and Lithari halted aggression, Earth offered aid. Reconstruction ships arrived within days. Terraformers, medical teams, psychological liaisons trained in empathy and multilingual therapy. The same hands that broke the rules were now helping heal the wounds. It sent a second shockwave through the galaxy. Humans didn't fit the mold. They didn't conquer for empire or react from tradition. They responded to danger with intensity and kindness alike. It was terrifying. It was inspiring. It was unforgettable. Years passed. The incident became known as the shattering of order. But Earth remained a member of the Concord. Their seat at the table was no longer questioned. Instead, their chair was reinforced. New training academies adopted human crisis response methods. Council protocols were updated to account for Deathworld perspective deviation. And most of all, no species ever again assumed that peace was a leash Earth would always wear. Commander V. Zen retired with honors, having authored the most widely read treatise on the incident, When the Fire Teaches Warmth and Burn, Understanding the Human Duality. In the final chapter, he wrote, "The day the Deathworlders broke the rules, we learned that laws must bend for survival, and peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of strength tempered with mercy." The galaxy never forgot, not because they destroyed, but because they rebuilt without asking permission.